Hey guys, I'm Blossom. Today we're diving into everything wrong with David Dobrik and the Vlog Squad.
Missed the mark with that one, and I'm really sorry. I truly am.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Alright, I'm here with the man of the hour, Mr. David Dobrik.
David Dobrik! The Vlog Squad!
The Vlog Squad is a bunch of Viners who hopped their way over to YouTube when Vine discontinued, and boy, wasn't that smart on their part. The leader of the group is David Dobrik, and he is the leader because he makes the most coin, he's the most popular, but he is also the huge problem with the Vlog Squad.
I feel like he gets away with just everything.
David Dobrik is facing criticism once again after fellow Vlog Squad member Jeff Wittek accused him of putting his life on the line during a series of pranks that just went way too far.
With a woman who spoke out anonymously and alleged that back in November of 2018, when she was only 20 years old, David filmed her and former Vlog Squad member Dominicus Iglitis entering a bedroom where she and Dominicus had a sexual encounter. However, the woman explained that in the moment, she was too intoxicated to give consent. Several companies are cutting ties with David Dobrik after allegations of misconduct came to light about a former member of his Vlog Squad.
Oh my god!
When I woke up in the hospital, I was in shock. I was in a lot of pain. I tore some ligaments in my leg. I broke my foot. I broke my hip. I shattered my skull in 9 places. I shattered my eye socket. I almost lost my eye, and I almost died.
The problem is that he needed a special license and supervision to operate that excavator, and that I don't think Jeff needs to press charges against him for.
But someone has to.
Well, if like
Not necessarily. It's a crime against the state.
Seth Francois, following his allegation of sexual misconduct in a 2017 prank video.
On shock for views or whatever it was, that I was creating an unfair power dynamic. I did not know this before. It was completely wrong, and I wish I was more responsible, and I wish I was more aware at the time, and I'm so sorry I missed that. I didn't know what was going on in that room, and I should have been. I should have been there, and I should have been making sure that everybody involved was taken care of and wasn't uncomfortable. I don't want to use buzzwords to try to justify this or explain this, but all I can say is people felt like they had to be silent for the sake of my video, and that's not right, and it's fucked up, and I'm sorry.
If you ask me, the number one problem with the Vlog Squad is entitlement and privilege. Now, I don't know that many people who can go into airports and think it's funny to yell bomb, and David Dobrik did this with Liza Koshy, and it was revealed on their Views podcast that he would do it with Jason, and Jason would get so upset that he almost want to just like book another flight. Take a listen.
Jason has some weird like points that you can't hit, even though he's a comedian. There's some things that you can't joke about, or he'll be like, "That's not a joke. This is my first
joke.
This is my first go ever."
I do have things that I get nervous about. Like when you yell bomb in the airport, I don't like it. It bothers me.
I never yell bomb.
Yeah, you do.
I literally, I'll be at the airport with Jason and I'll be like, I'll just lean up to his ear and I'll be like, wait till they find the bomb in your backpack. And he'll stop anything he's doing and he'll look at me and be like, Dad, that's not funny. That's not funny, David. That's not funny. He'll be to the point where he'll cancel his trip.
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's not funny. And to top it off, you know, I thought Jason would know better, but no. So there was also an incident to where they thought it was funny for Jason to go into the airport wearing prison clothing, wearing an orange suit, basically. So then they get on this plane, and it's like, you know, a fancy plane. If you have the coin, it's supposed to be like a high-class plane, right? They get on this plane, and everyone is like, as Jason is walking through the aisle with his orange jumpsuit, people were like terrified because they thought like an actual real prisoner was on the plane. They actually did this and thought it was hilarious.
So we're getting ready to get on the flight, and David wants me to put on a prison costume.
Dave's got another costume for me to put on.
We had worn a costume the week before when we went to New York. David told me, like, let's do a prison costume. I was like, nah. I was like, oh man, I don't know. That's like a little weird.
Okay, I'm doing a bit for David.
Penitentiary? That's not even a real place.
My other options were a hazmat suit and a penis costume. So I was like, all right, let's do the prison costume. I got on the plane, and I had handcuffs from the prison costume, and I couldn't get them off. And I was like, David, give me the key. And so he gave the key to Todd, and he told Todd to swallow it. And I saw Todd swallow the key. I really thought Todd swallowed the key, but he didn't. And so did Zane. And so Zane got really concerned. Zane was like worried for Todd's well-being, and he asked the flight attendant if there was a doctor on the flight. I'm not sure why. They were just done with us. They were just like, they kicked us off.
And then the whole prison jumpsuit, like, I don't know that many people who would go on a plane and think it's funny as a joke to be dressed as a prisoner. Maybe they can get away with it if it was Halloween, but it wasn't. Now, one can argue, oh my gosh, this was 2017. Maybe these individuals, they have changed. Maybe they don't feel entitled and privileged anymore. Negative. So December 16th of 2020, Natalie Noel went on to the podcast Pretty Basic, and while she was on there, Natalie is David's assistant, or she's known as that. I don't really know what she does now, but you know, she's still in the Vlog Squad, and she went on there and talked about how she linked up with David, how she started working for David, and then she went on to brag about how her senior year, it actually was like college credit for her to work for David, and that counted as like her internship. It was like, and for those of you who don't know, when you're a senior in college, it's like upper level classes, 400 level classes, like they don't call it senioritis for nothing. It's just a struggle your senior year because you're dealing with harder classes, etc., right? So, you know, her job, which she got college credits for, was to be David's intern, and she bragged about how she would pretend to be David and message her professor saying, oh yeah, Natalie's doing really well, blah, blah, blah. Take a listen.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I never would have imagined that this would have been it. I literally, I did an internship credit, actually, for my second semester of senior year in college. I did a David Dobrik LLC internship to get my last 2 credits so that I could graduate. And it was literally me, writing back to my advisor, being like, she did great this week. This is what she did, you know, whatever, pretending to be David.
Now, don't get me wrong. Given the same opportunity, I would have definitely jumped on board to, you know, do that internship, to work for David Dobrik my senior year of college, right? But it's another thing to do that, but then to brag and go on a podcast how you pretended to be your boss, emailing your professor this whole entire time, that's like a result of academic misconduct. And just because you graduated college, a university has the right to revoke your degree if they find out that you did just that. Now guys, maybe Natalie doesn't care, but to brag about how you cheated the system or manipulated the system, entitlement and privilege. Now the second problem with the Vlog Squad is that David likes to make fun of others, and only others, at their expense. Big Nick and Seth were members part of the Vlog Squad, but at some point they stopped appearing in David's vlogs. Although Big Nick appeared more in David's vlogs than Seth, it was very clear that these two were placed into his vlogs for one reason and one reason only: to be made fun of. So February of this year, 2021, Big Nick and Seth actually came on to the H3 podcast, which is hosted by Ethan and Gila Klein. And I should note, the reason why they came on this podcast is because Trisha Paytas, who used to date Jason Nash, part of the Vlog Squad, she actually has a podcast with Ethan Klein. So they felt that this was like a safe place for them to share their experience with the Vlog Squad. Now, the reason why Big Nick came on to H3 podcast was to set things straight. He was so tired of these rumors of why he left the Vlog Squad, and he wanted people to know that he left. He didn't get kicked out of the Vlog Squad. Big Nick chose to leave. Take a listen to what he has to say about the Vlog Squad.
It is kind of like a cult, yeah. It's like a high school vibe, very cultish like vibe. But just because you're popular doesn't mean you're like a good person. Let's just bring up an extreme example, like Hitler. He had a lot of followers, but like that doesn't mean he was a good person. It also got to a point where people would recognize me in public, and then they would make jokes like about me, and I'm like, dude, like I don't know you. This is weird, you know? So
like what kind of jokes? Like
just like making fun of my height and stuff.
It seems like your time in the Vlog Squad, they made you the butt of the joke a lot. And
yeah,
that
and
probably
then
started to bother you, you know, and like it's like everybody all of a sudden not giving you any respect.
Now, according to Big Nick, when he expressed to David how it made him feel when David was making fun of his height or making fun of his disability, that's when David started to not use Big Nick in his vlogs anymore, according to Big Nick. And I think it's worth stating that later on, Jeff Wittek, a member that's also part of the Vlog Squad, he does get on to H3 podcast and he does state that there's more to Big Nick's story than what he actually told us. I wanted to throw that out there just in case there are some doubts about Big Nick, but that same week, Seth came on, and this is what he had to say about the Vlog Squad.
But I don't know if you want to first tell me about your experience on the Vlog Squad.
You know, I just started integrating myself, and then as I started integrating myself, I started being asked over and over again to kind of participate in bits that, you know, can kind of come off being very culturally insensitive. You know,
you're talking specifically about like racial stereotype jokes. For example, I remember there was a scene where you were at the friend's house and then they open a fridge and a bunch of watermelons fall out or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you,
and a lot of kids don't understand because these things, they seem like, you know, watermelon is just, you know, it's watermelon. Like a lot of people like watermelon. I also particularly enjoy eating watermelon, but there is racially charged ideals that are behind, you know, trying to spin in a comedic way.
It's obvious they're making a racial joke.
According to Seth, he felt like he was also brought into David's content only to be made fun of, and a lot of the jokes that were being used were racially motivated. There were moments where David and the group participated in blackface by putting peanut butter on their face. I mean, there were moments to where you would see David bringing Seth to the police station, thinking it's so comical. He even talked about it in his podcast before he did it, how funny it was going to be. Yes, David paid for Seth's tickets, but to bring like a black man to the police and think it's funny, all of his jokes were like racially motivated.
Yes, we called the police and you literally have warrants.
Oh yeah, we gotta go before they get here. Oh bro. Are you fucking me right now?
No, Seth has serious warrants out for his arrest.
I have one warrant and it's not that serious.
My next vlog, we're going to the police and we're turning you in.
I found out my friend Seth has a warrant for his arrest. And this is because he has a bunch of unpaid tickets. So today, I'm gonna turn him into the police station.
You're breaking the only friend code there really is.
Seth?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be pretty straightforward, okay?
Fuck. What?
We're going to the police station to turn you in.
I know, that's what I thought.
Don't worry, officers. We got it from here.
But you're joking, right? We're not going to the police station.
With the amount of overcrowding in jails right now, you'll get out in a couple weeks.
We're here at the Los Angeles Police Department.
What the fuck is going on, bro? You want me to go in there on myself?
I'm not going in there. I have warrants.
I went in there to do that, so I'm just gonna pay his tickets for him.
So as you can see, David just found it hilarious to use his friends as jokes, you know, at their expense, not really caring about how they felt. And then to top it off, There was SA that occurred. So this was the joke that really started the downfall of the Vlog Squad. So David thought it was funny to ask Seth to kiss Corinna. And the bit or the skit would go that Corinna would be like in an old man mask. Little did he know that it was actually Jason Nash that was behind the mask. And take a listen to how Seth reacted. Take a listen to why he reacted the way that he did.
After he took off the mask, I was, it was a split decision. I was like, it's one or two things. Like, either be natural instincts and be the angry black guy in the room and start yelling at everyone and get physical or whatever that might entail, or I can kind of just, go along with it, and maybe I'll have some new friends that will support me in my ventures moving forward, and I made the decision to just kind of go along with it, not understanding what the repercussions would be, and also not understanding how much 10 million people are that's seeing something that I'm personally not comfortable with.
And I feel that. I definitely feel that you either have two options. You can either play it off because, this is a vlog that millions and millions and millions of people watch, right? So you can either play it off, you get known, you can take that uncomfortableness and just, be quiet about it and get known for, being in his bit for like 5 seconds or so because David has all the power, right? Or you could be that, black man, that stereotypical black man, and and go off, and then everyone thinks you're just an angry black man, right? So I understand why Seth did what he did. Now there's something about a man coming out about SA that people just don't care about. Seth came out and said he was uncomfortable with this because he never gave his consent.
A lot of people point to the second video as they say, well, this is proof that he was in on it, and it's not that big of a deal, because they did a second video where they pretended to cast you in a beef jerky commercial, and then Jason comes out as a gorilla and makes out with you, basically in the same style they did the first one. And he says to you, I remember specifically, he says, do I have your consent to try to get Jason to make out with you again?
I never gave him my consent. I said,
yeah, I did notice that.
How are you expecting to do something to me that I don't know that you're going to
That's all he included from you saying no?
Could be criminal.
I did notice that you never consented, though.
Yeah, we did notice.
I said when I watched it, notice he didn't say yes.
Now, I would have expected Jason, the older dude of the group, which they will never let anyone in the light of day forget. I would have expected him to at least come out and apologize once he heard that Seth was actually uncomfortable with this whole entire bit, this whole entire joke. But after listening to this, what I'm about to show you, you can probably understand why Jason did not say anything at all. Nothing, nada, zip.
I think it's really gone overboard with how soft and how the kid gloves that we all have to use to treat all of you. It's absolutely ridiculous. You all need to fucking sack up, go to war. I wish I could send all of you to the fucking Afghanistan. I'm triggered. Somebody uses that word triggered one more time.
You're right. Okay, it is. There are a lot of.
It's ridiculous.
It sounds like you got some old man syndrome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I do.
I think that's what's going on.
I'm sure I do, but I'm telling you, it wasn't like this. Like, what's going on now? I know, it blows my fucking mind.
But isn't this just like a generational thing?
But it's not okay to indulge every little fucking feeling you have. It's not okay. No one gives a fuck. You know what I mean? And people walk around thinking that everyone should care. No one really cares. It's a fake generation.
This squad does not care about people's feelings at all. It's like, if you're uncomfortable, suck it up. And when you say no, David keeps pushing. Now, for those people who still blame Seth, now we have a segment of Law and Order. What would Olivia Benson do? Seth's in Olivia Benson's office, and he's like, I blame myself. I should have spoken up even louder after that first kiss. I didn't know I was going to kiss Jason. I thought it was Corinna. Olivia, Seth, this is not your fault. It doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, your sexuality is irrelevant here. You did not give your consent. I'm to blame because after I started voicing my opinions about the skit, David cut me out of his vlogs. Millions of people watch these vlogs and David started to cut me out of them, so I messaged him saying I was more open-minded. Seth, this does not change the fact that you were abused. Manipulators and abusers often control their victims with a range of tactics that cannot be putting you in his videos and even influencing you to do something against your will. You went back to David, not because you wanted to, you felt like you had to. End scene. Now, I'm so sorry for those of you who watched that and completely understood what I was saying, but there's just people who don't think that men can be SA. They're just some people who think that men need to suck it up just like Jason. Now, before I move on from this Seth situation, I listened to 5 years of this podcast, every single episode. My poor ears, I know. But I listened to every single episode, so I think it's worth stating that Seth was kind of shady too, but I just don't want this to be, I don't want to take away the attention of men coming out, but before I move on, I have to tell you, yes, Seth was shady. Because like knowing what I knew, when I listened to all these episodes, I paid real close attention anytime there was a mention of Seth. So just in conversation, Jason would ask David about his weekend, like they weren't filming together, but anyways, they would ask about, each other's weekend, and I remember there being an incident about a pool to where David paid Seth like 30 grand. It was something like that. Just a ton of money, point blank, for David to have a pool in his backyard. And these men were supposed to come out and they tested the soil. I mean, this is rich people stuff. I don't really know what happens when you want a pool in your backyard. However, Seth said he knew some guys that would test David's soil. David gave them thousands of dollars and then they never came back to the house. And then when David called the guys, they were like out of the country, getting like lipo or something. It was absolutely some type of scamish thing. And I was like, okay, that sounds really scamish to me. And then there was one weekend and I was like, okay, this sounds shady. There was a weekend to where Seth sent David a video of a party that was going on like on a Friday or Saturday night. And Seth sends it to David saying, this party's poppin', you definitely need to come down. And so David comes down and he's like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm here, Seth, this party's awesome, where are you at? And Seth goes, oh, I'm not here, I'm, out of town or whatever. And to me, that kind of sounded like Seth got paid for David to be at this party. It just, when you hear the stories about Seth, they just sound shady. Okay? I have to say that before I move on. They sound shady. But once again, I don't want this to be taken away from men coming out about SA, but I think you should know that, yes, Seth sounded shady. And the last thing is that when you listen to this H3 podcast interview with Seth, yes, he's kind of stuttering just a little bit, not too much, when he's talking about being essayed by Jason, talking about how a lot of these jokes were racially motivated, talking about his uncomfortable experience. But as soon as Ethan Klein hits him with, well, they said that you stole money from them, all of a sudden he's like, just watch his behavior.
There's one other thing I wanted to ask you about. So, on Jason and David's podcast, he accused you of stealing $50,000 from him to build an infinity pool. Were you aware of that?
Basically, the actual story is like, it's like if I recommended you to go to a certain pizza place and then you go to the pizza place and they say that they're going to give you a pizza and then they don't. It doesn't mean that I took the money or I stole the money from you. Everything was done correctly, and I have like receipts. I never had $50,000 in my account, and I understand how people kind of misconstrued that.
Yes, one can argue that Seth, he was nervous, he was talking about all these uncomfortable things, but knowing what I knew, it just added up, and I just felt like he was shady. Moving on. So as a response to this video, Scotty's sire took it upon himself to upload a video, not an apology video, but a response video, basically denying these allegations, calling Big Nick and Seth a liar, calling out the H3 podcast. And, you know, he took it down the next day because it was like he was losing followers or subscribers, but who is he to tell someone if they've been essayed or not? You know, who is he to, you know, defend anyone? He wasn't even involved in this. And then there were conversations at this time how David has this power dynamic. So it's one of those things to where, as you've seen in like the What Would Olivia Benson Do skit, it's like, you know, Seth felt like he had to, you know, because David has all the money. It's like if you decide not to be in David's vlogs, or if David kicks you out of his vlogs, you're missing out on a business opportunity. You're missing out on a career life change, right? So you do what he says so you can have the same opportunities like he's getting, better projects, you know, more sponsorships. Like you want to live that same life, and David has the power and holds that. Now, the third thing that's wrong with the Vlog Squad is that David has this pattern of pressuring people to do things they just don't want to do. Now, I'm going to bring up an incident that happened in the podcast to where, just so we know, when David doesn't want to do something, he doesn't do it, right? So there was an incident to where David was at a party and, you know, these girls were grabbing his ass. Actually, the title of the podcast was something like, you know, girls grabbing David's ass, something like that. And David talks about how he felt uncomfortable that these girls were grabbing his butt. Now, keep in mind, in this podcast, there are forced laughs, forced smiles. So if you can just kind of take that away, because they laugh when things are just not funny because, you know, they're trying to set the mood. But keep in mind, they're not really laughing. It's just all forced. So David talks about how he goes to this party and he tells these girls to stop touching his butt. And at first he's just like, I thought they were going to steal something. I thought they were going to, you know, take my wallet, blah, blah, blah. And then Jason responds, well, why didn't you take your wallet out so they can touch your butt? Take a listen.
So I was standing there, and there was these like 10 or 15 girls behind me that like were trying to get my attention. So I like turned around, I took a picture with them. It was great, it was fun, they were nice. And then I turned back, and like 2 minutes later, they were still trying to get my attention. But I was like talking to my friends, and then they started grabbing my ass. Like they started like squeezing my butt. Whoa. Like it was like I felt it like once, and then I felt it twice, and then I could feel more and more hands like touching my butt. And I turned around and I was like, guys, please stop touching my ass. And like right when I turned around, all of them were like, oh my god, like they didn't want to get caught. And then I turned back around, and once again they fucking went back to grabbing my ass. Wow. And I turned around and I was like, guys, please stop touching my butt.
Why wouldn't you let them touch your butt?
Because I had my pockets were full, so I was scared that they were like also pickpocketing me. Like I had my wallet in my back, so I was like really scared of that.
Take your wallet out and stick your butt out.
And then the second time I turned around, when I was like, please stop touching my butt again, one of the girls snaps and she goes, guys, stop fucking touching his butt. He's a person. And like I could tell that was probably the girl that was touching my ass. She just didn't want me to think that it was her. And then I turn around, and once again they're touching my ass. And this time I can feel like a couple girls taking 2 fingers and like poking it right into my asshole. And like it wasn't as like gross as you would think. It was like a quick jab at my butthole, and it felt so weird. I was just like, I have to go. And so I turned around and I went, I'm leaving. Are you guys happy now?
So it got all bad to where David left the party because he was being SA'd by those girls. You know, these things happen all the time. Men just don't talk about it. He actually got so uncomfortable that he left the party. So now let's talk about the well-known insider article. So there was an insider article that came out about a allegation against Dirty Dom. I mean, his nickname is Dirty Dom. And so David already knew off the bat how dirty Dom was. They were high school friends, so David knew Dom for a very long time. So this insider article stated that there was one night to where Dom, he wanted to have a threesome. So there was these girls that came over, and they were all under the age of 21. And it's in David's vlog. I'll do like a B-roll, but I'm not gonna actually play it. The girl mentions that she really didn't know any of them and that she really just wanted to meet David. And, you know, in this article, she states states that she told them that she did not want to have a threesome with anyone. Now, in the vlog, David says, he narrates and says, after some convincing, Dom was able to get, one of the girls, in the bedroom with him. And the number one thing is convincing. What convincing? Like, it's either yes or no, right? Like, what more do you need? How many times you need to ask someone to have sex with you? Is it no enough? Keep in mind that, when David felt uncomfortable, when he was being SA'd by those girls, they were literally like, trying to put their hands up his butthole. He left, right? Because he felt uncomfortable. But here, he feels it's okay to pressure people into having sex. Allegedly, Todd and Jeff got the alcohol for these girls. Trisha Paytas and Jason Nash were there, but Trisha decided to leave with Jason because she felt like, this night was going to take a wrong turn. And to me, I felt like Trisha was somewhat, and Jason, complicit in all this, because I felt like they should have just helped this girl, but the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, it doesn't matter at this point, right? But long story short, the girl, she was so intoxicated, she got so drunk, and she had said no. Dom still carried on anyways. And this part that you see right now of Dom coming out of the room, thinking David, coming out of the room all sweaty, this was filmed on another day because that original night, the girl was too drunk, too wasted. Her friends actually had to come in to put on her bra, to put on her shirt, to leave. She was stumbling out. She didn't know what was going on, throwing up, so they couldn't film anything else. So this was filmed on another night. So the question becomes, if David, because David's denying like he even knew any of this, but why did David film on a second day? How did he know to film on a second day? Because he didn't get the whole footage on that same night. So it's very questionable to me that David's denying that he knew any of this, right? Like BS. I call BS on that. And then if David had no idea, what is Dom thanking David for? Like when Dom comes out of that room all sweaty, he's like, thank you, David. Thank you, David. Like for what? For what? When this article came out, David had uploaded a video basically separating himself from Dom, saying, oh, I haven't filmed with Dom since 2019, which isn't true, but I haven't filmed with Dom since 2019 and I separated myself from him. Like, whatever. Dom has been, his nickname is Dirty Dom, and he has been, this is not the first allegation, he's been accused of groping women, he's just been accused of some dirty stuff. None of it is good. And David has always cheered Dom on, but now that there's an insider article out, he's like, what, I don't agree with anything Dom's doing. And another hole in David's story is that this girl ended up texting Dom in like 2018 or when like the incident happened, and stated that she had no memory of the night, and she texted Dom to have David delete this vlog. Now, what conversation did Dom have with David for David to delete the vlog? He had to know something was up for him to delete the vlog, right? And so many people like to come after this victim for coming out, for telling her story. A lot of these questions are why now? But we have proof, text messages from 2018, that this girl was not okay with what happened that night. I mean, this is a text message that she sent Dom, and all Dom was just like, okay, sure, pretty much. You know what I mean? He did not care at all. Feel free to pause this. So we now know that, this girl didn't make it up, that this incident actually did happen. It really did affect her, during that time. It's not just something that she's, coming out now about for attention. And we do know that David, he knew about this, and this was just nothing for him. He did not care, point blank. Then at the end of this vlog, there's a joke about how we're all gonna go to jail, and it's like, so clearly they knew they did something wrong for them to even, there's some truth to a joke.
Just had a threesome, and I think we're all going to jail.
So what did they do wrong? What was the joke? You know what I mean? Someone tell me, what was the joke?
When you hooked up with Dom back in October, now did you give Dom consent to hook up with you?
I was drunk.
You were drunk?
Yeah, well, I was drunk too, so it's consensual.
No, it's not.
And for the people who like to argue that David has changed, no, he hasn't. Because currently, Jeff Wittek has a docu-series out about the injuries to his face. In this documentary, Jeff really states how he didn't really want to go skydiving, but David made him, after like asking him and pressuring him, made him feel like a wimp. paraphrasing that.
Here's the thing, David says, yo, I got a big comeback vlog coming, guys. I know I've been playing video games and doing nothing for the past 3 months and jerking off. When the fuck do we go from agreeing to 1 jump to 25? And then Natalie gets on, oh yeah, I'll do it too. What's the big deal? You scared? You're a pussy. And now we're here.
So David says jump, you say how many times?
David, god damn it. I swear if I hear that joke one time, I'm out.
Why are you skydiving?
I don't know, it's just a fear.
Why
I'm trying to get over it.
Who's making you do it?
Some guy, he's a weird guy. I met him like 2 years ago. I was scared shitless.
There was also an incident to where Corinna, she didn't want to get on this like tractor thing, and she felt really uncomfortable with it. And so, you know, she got off of it, and she even makes a comment of, David, you always take everything too far. You know, he's always pressuring his friends to do something. Like, it's like, where are you, David? You do something dangerous. You know what I mean?
Corinna gets on it, and then David starts moving it. It's like, this shot looks so sick. This looks beautiful.
She's good.
The thing comes off, and it starts falling down, and Corinna's like, oh, what the fuck? Put me down, put me down. She's like, you take things too far, David.
It's always making fun of his friends, pressuring his friends to do things, and only at their expense. Which leads me to the fourth thing that's wrong with the Vlog Squad, is that David Dobrik will do anything at any cost for a good vlog. In this group, everyone's always getting injured.
And I shit you not, I almost passed away making a YouTube video. So my friend's editing and I'm dressed in a white gown. The doctor walks in, he's like, listen, you probably don't want to hear this, but there's a 50% chance you might pass away because we suspect that you ruptured a spleen.
David playing in that tractor, whatever the heck that is, you know, I'm pretty certain you need a license for that shit. David handling like this tractor, whatever the heck it is equivalent to someone getting behind a vehicle and not knowing how to drive. Safety is out the window. You know, his thoughts of what could possibly happen to my friends, you know, completely out of the window, because this will be really good for a great vlog. This was supposed to be his coming back vlog, and he had zero consideration about like his friends, the safety issues with that, right? This incident got so bad to where it cracked Jeff's skull.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
When I woke up in the hospital, I was in shock. I was in a lot of pain. I tore some ligaments in my leg. I broke my foot. I broke my hip. I shattered my skull in 9 places. I shattered my eye socket. I almost lost my eye, and I almost died.
Jeff has injuries for the rest of his life just because of David's vlog. Now, before we get into the guy behind the smiles, behind the jokes, behind the forced laughs, we need to talk about just the inappropriate behavior with children in his vlogs. Hell, just the inappropriate behavior with children. David has zero problems with how he talks to children in his vlogs. I mean, he called a kid like obese or fat, and you gotta think, they're kids, so even if they're laughing on camera, how do they really feel when you're calling a little kid fat? David has talked about how he would force his little brother, who would be crying because he didn't want to participate in his vlogs. And he'd talk about how he would force his brother to be in his vlogs anyway. Take a listen.
I've done that with my siblings. I've done that with my siblings. Like when I used to shoot vines, there were times where my brother would be crying. And my mom would be like, please do this for him, please do this for him. And he was crying just because he was just like shy. And I'm like, I need this, I'm sorry, I need this. And like, I'd wait 10 minutes till his tears would dry up, and I'd do it again. And like, it's awful.
Even Jason Nash, and I want to be very clear, I do believe that Jason Nash is a really good father, but that's not what I'm talking about here. Jason Nash has his kids programmed to, you know, work for daddy on Saturdays. I mean, just take a listen.
They do.
We were in the car the other day, and Wyatt, his son, Jason's son, goes, can we go to Disneyland tomorrow? And Charlie, his daughter, goes, no, we can't. We have a brand deal that day. they're so like on par with Jason's job. A brand deal is like a job that we get where we have to like, you know, post on Instagram, and they just know that they have to work for their dad that day, which was like the cutest and like the most terrifying thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's not the best.
Jason's like, yeah, I'm not proud of that.
His wife doesn't love that part of it. There's like a brand deal, and they want the kids, and they like, and I'm just like,
you can't have dinner unless I videotaped it.
Exactly. I have said that. I'm like,
no, you haven't.
No, I've just been like, look, I'm like, I realize you don't want to go do a thing for T-Mobile on like the 2 days before Christmas, but it's $10,000, and you know, I need the money. And then they'll be like,
get in this fucking Instagram picture.
Get in this fucking Instagram picture. I feel terrible. You think that's bad?
No, I think
that fucks them up.
I'm not against family vloggers, you know, but the problem is that there's such a dry spot there because we don't know if the kids are being worked to death or not. You know, there's something wrong when the kids are like, oh, we gotta work for daddy today. And for David, there's something wrong when you ask a 14-year-old if they watch Pornhub.
Cyborg? Thank you, dude. You watch Pornhub?
I know,
Yo.
man. Vine all day.
That's dope, dude. Yo, breaking news.
We've
Are
never
you guys
gone
dating? Are you guys dating right here?
Boyfriend. What's your name?
Peter.
Peter and the Gabby Show.
13.
That's old enough.
I'm pretty certain if a 14-year-old's parents were there, they'd probably have a problem with you asking their 14-year-old son if they watch Pornhub. There needs to be conversations, and there needs to be a rule in place because you have no idea or not if that boy felt uncomfortable. You have zero idea. So now that we know the problem, let's talk about what led David up to this point. Guys, you would be so surprised on the amount of realness that goes on in a podcast. So listening to 5 years worth, this is it, y'all, in my opinion.
I didn't reach out to any of these people, and that breaks my heart knowing that I was doing all this stuff and I was making all this content while there was people that were still really hurt.
Growing up, David never saw himself as the main character in his life. He loved high school because of his friends. He looked forward to getting up and going to school. If he had a chance to live out those years again, he literally would not hesitate. Although David was known in high school, had friends, he suffered from a lot of insecurity issues.
I have a big thing about looking in mirrors.
What is it?
Like in high school, I would never do it. I'd wash my hands and I'd stand to the side of the mirror. It's actually really fucking weird.
You don't want to see yourself?
I don't know what it is about this like insecurity thing, but I don't want to see how I look the entire day. Maybe that's why I'm behind the camera all the time.
You don't go in there and like fix your hair and kind of like look at yourself and see like your angles.
If I'm about to take a picture, but no, I don't do that. I remember in high school specifically, every time I go wash my hands, I'd stand to the side of the sink so I wouldn't see the mirror. It is weird, but I think it was something about, it was like I didn't want to ruin the rest of my high school day by looking at myself. And it sounds really fucking weird and dark.
I found this moment to be very intriguing just because when we as people look into the mirror, we are looking at how other people are perceiving us on the outside. So the question then becomes, what did David see when he looked at himself in the mirror that he believed other people were seeing too? I mean, David even cracked jokes about maybe that's why he's always behind the camera. Another interesting moment in this podcast is when David talks about how he didn't even know that he wasn't a US citizen until he tried to get his driver's license. David Dobrik is from Slovakia, and he actually came over to the US when he was 5. And what's interesting to me is that when David was dating Liza Koshy, she'd always want him to get him to speak the language. And David always said his excuse was, I don't really speak the language well. I'm afraid I'm gonna mess it up. And one can be like, okay, yeah, that's fine. But David never really embraced where he came from. Because David had insecurities, wasn't thrilled about his heritage, instead of making himself the main character in his life, his friends started to become just that for him. In high school, David started to create Vine videos and was pushed to do it by Natalie. When David started receiving a positive response from his Vines, this gave him the confirmation that he needed, I'm not the main character in my life, my friends are. as David continued creating Vines, he started to get like very popular. People thought he was funny, but his friends, they were no longer his friends. They were like on a whole new level. Like, he would get invited to parties in high school and would not go because his friends couldn't come or his friends weren't invited. I mean, guys, it got so bad that I think he got accepted into the University of Mizzou, and he would not go. He went to a community college. Nothing against community college, but what I'm saying is that his choices were made by his friends and what his friends were doing. His friends were literally a part of him. Even after dropping out of college after 1 year, he pursued his Vine YouTube career, moved to LA, which was obviously smart on his part, begged his friends to come. So when David moved to LA with his friends, in my opinion, this was like the start of a toxic environment. At this time, David felt like he was at his prime, but it wasn't because he was making money. It was because he was able to collaborate with other Viners. And although he was having the time of his life, all of these people were confirmation that he is definitely 100% for sure not the main character of his life. And he accepted it because the life that he was living at this point in time was way much better. So David moved over to YouTube once Vine discontinued, and he started receiving so many opportunities. He started to receive a huge following, collaborated with many Viners, YouTubers. While all these amazing opportunities were coming David's way, he started to feel like this gave him permission to do whatever he wants because he's funny. Many of David's jokes became making fun of people, making fun of their insecurities or the thing that he thought they were most insecure about.
Really?
That's not her makeup, that's just her face.
Oh shit, you're right.
She ugly.
I got a gift, and I got it for Gabby.
Oh, it's for me?
And she's been needing these, and I know how much you love to dance.
Wait, it's something I've needed?
You definitely needed it. We've all kind of talked about it.
Are these diet pills?
Oh my god, David, that is so true. Exactly. And now take 4 of these and you can probably dance better.
It's amazing what artists can do with people's faces. Look what they did to Gabby's.
I was just so excited.
Are you not wearing makeup? It's so easy to tell.
This is frightening.
This is an exact replica of Gabby's face. So how often do you exercise?
Every day.
Every day? So I shouldn't even try, right?
Now look, I know Gabby Hanna is on a whole nother video, but it's almost as if the reason he made fun of other people's insecurities because he's the guy who hides behind the smiles, the jokes, insecure on the inside. Instead of dealing with it, he passes over those insecure thoughts and emotions. He passes that on to other people in his life, the main characters, while he hides behind the forced laughs and the smiles. When David felt like he had permission to do anything that he wanted, he started to lack sympathy for others, started to confuse what was funny from what was not. He started to ask friends to do crazy life-threatening stunts. The more opportunities David received, the more permission he felt like he had. He thought it was okay to do blackface, to yell bomb in an airport, to ignore dirty Dom's disgusting behavior. David receiving all these amazing opportunities not only gave him the permission to do what he wanted, but this also gave him this unhealthy, vicious work life. When David dated Liza Koshy, this was an exciting moment for him in his life because, for starters, this was the first time to where he was dating someone who he actually cared about. But 2, dating Liza made him realize that he could be pushing even more further. His dreams could become a reality. Like Liza, I remember a 2018 podcast to where he had talked about Liza while he was watching Liza interviewing celebrities on the red carpet for the Met Gala. He was sitting there editing his YouTube vlogs. And don't get me wrong, David was always a workaholic. Even though he went from uploading 3 videos a week to 2 videos a week, he still had that camera in the hand at all times. But dating Liza, it made him just really realize he could really reach her what he wanted, and what he wanted was his own talk show. He wanted his own night show. That was his dream job. Liza ended up calling it off with David because she wanted to work on herself. Liza has goals and she really wanted to be career driven. Now in my opinion, I think also too, it's kind of frustrating when you're a YouTuber dating a YouTuber. And even on the podcast, David had talked about how him and Liza, they'd have not these huge problems, but there'd be these conversations of, did you buy me this for the vlog or was it really for me? It was just, Liza was on her career path, and when Liza broke up with David, David was just all in hustle grind to get to where he wanted to be. After after David and Liza were no longer together, that was a result of really David filming way much more with Jason Nash. And I really want to talk about Jason really quick in a nutshell, just because it's really hard to really comprehend why someone who's like the oldest of the group can let so much stupid shit go down, be complicit in this, and think there's nothing wrong with it. So growing up, Jason never really got along with his dad. You know, his dad, like any single time, let's say Jason got hurt, for example, his dad would just be like, suck it up, get over it. Jason went to college, graduated in communications, and his dream was to really like make movies, be a producer, be a writer, you know, be a comedian. That was his dream. Jason never really felt completely fulfilled in his career because he could never accomplish his goals. And when he was in his marriage with his now ex-wife, there were times where he just did not feel important. His wife was getting jobs. You know, she's currently now the producer executive producer for SWAT. But, you know, his wife was getting jobs and he didn't feel like he had a really great support system. Now, obviously, it wasn't there in their marriage, so I don't really know exactly everything that went down, but what I can grasp from the 5 years of this podcast is that he did not have a really great support system, so he asked for a divorce to really just start a new chapter in his life. He wanted to write a new chapter for himself because he just was not happy with the last one. Jason has kids from his marriage, and I'm not saying like he doesn't love his kids or anything like that, but what I'm saying is, career-wise, he always felt like a part of him felt like a failure, and because he could never be to where he saw the people around him were at. He could never be at that level. David found Jason at a comedy club, and that's how these two linked up. After linking up with David, Jason was excited about the new chapter he had written for himself. Yes, Jason was a Viner, so he did have a following, he did have subscribers, but you know, linking up with David, it was kind of like he got more of the, can I take a picture with you? He got more of the, oh my gosh, I watch your vlogs, I know who you are. With Jason and David's relationship, it's almost as if Jason has said to himself, I'm gonna hang out with David because that is the best option for me in life. Now, there are moments where I can give Jason credit for, but it's also common sense when, like, David yells bomb in an airport, and Jason has zero tolerance for that. There are moments to where, you know, David wants to do these crazy stunts, and Jason's very vocal about it. But then, guys, there are moments to where Jason just completely ignores the stupid shit that happens in David's vlogs. And Jason ignores or becomes complicit in all of this because he views linking up with David as like the highlight of his career. There was even a conversation on the podcast to where, you know, Jason and David, they talk about hanging out with John Stamos. And Jason talked about how confident John is, how he's just, you know, super confident. And Jason goes, you know, John is so confident because he's so successful. And take a listen to what David says.
I mean, look, they're confident actors that are successful guys that have everything in the world, and they make. Yeah, you're saying they make everyone else around them comfortable.
I don't
confident.
think. I also don't think that they're necessarily confident just because they're successful actors. I think they may be successful actors because they are confident, and I don't want you to get them mixed up. Maybe, you know,
because people find confidence that sometimes people aren't confident until they find their trade too.
Now, this moment was extremely telling for every single listener who was listening to this podcast, because we realized that Jason does not see himself as a confident person. He feels like the only way he's going to be confident is if he becomes successful. Jason believes that he's going to gain confidence, that he's going to be successful. You know, he's going to be like, you know, everyone who surrounds him. He's going to be on that level because he's linked up with David. So it's so easy to ignore all this other foolishness. So now, knowing what you know a little bit about Jason Nash, after David and Liza broke up, you know, David and Jason, they were filming together nonstop. David was more like obsessive with the filming just because he was really determined to make his dreams a reality. And Jason was right there. David was spending so much more time with his friends. And did he love his friends? Of course, but his feelings towards his friends started to change. Let me explain. David's everyday action of vlogging, carrying his camera in his hands constantly, not being able to enjoy life. Like literally, He couldn't go to Chicago, fly to Chicago without his camera. He could not just go to a state just to enjoy, not even a state, just go to the beach. He couldn't go to the beach and then just enjoy life. He had to capture it. Now, there's many people out here in these streets that can argue David was a workaholic, that was a healthy addiction. No. David vlogging every day, capturing every single moment instead of living it, working constantly, all of a sudden, this led to a mindset to where all of a sudden his vlogs were here and his friends were here. Now, don't get me wrong, David's like no psychopath, nothing like that, but this obsession, this addiction to capture every single moment led to not him being the main character. That was out the door ages ago, but then it just became, I'm gonna do anything for the vlog at any cost. So the vlog is right here and my friends are right here. So my friends, if they get hurt, making jokes at their expense, it didn't matter because the vlog was at any cost. And then when you piece everything together, guys, it all makes sense. You have a guy from day one, insecure, his friends were like the main characters of his life, and then, people, followers, subscribers, I'm not saying it's their fault, but it was like when he's created Vine, when he started making YouTube videos, that gave him confirmation that no, he in fact is not the main character of his life. His friends are, and they are a part of him that makes him who he is. And then when you get all of these opportunities coming your way, projects, sponsorships, people wanting you to be on TV shows because you are funny, because of your vlogs, because of your friends, all of a sudden it led to this mindset of, you know what? The vlogs are important. The vlogs, I need to get the best bit. I need to get the best vlog at any cost. And all of a sudden, the main characters became second in line and his vlogs became first at any cost.
Cowardly of me to say in my last apology that I missed the mark, because it's fucking gross, and I'm sorry.
The conclusion. I am not one to watch someone work so hard on their career, watch them just grind and hustle, to make their dreams happen. I am not one to just want all of that to be taken away. But this was a necessity. Now, I don't wish that any of the events that occurred in this group happened. I do not. I would like to say first for Dom, I think he definitely needs to do some jail time for sure. That's just my opinion. I believe that David's projects, opportunities, sponsorships, all that being taken away from him, I believe that needed to happen because it forced him to really look at the severity of his actions. I don't think there could have been any other way because David was on this line of destruction, honestly, in my opinion, like with the whole Jeff in his face and broken skull, like how worse can it get? Death is the next thing. I think the only way David should come back to his platform, come back to any type of social media platform, is if he actually really sat down, took this break, and first made himself the main character of his life. He's always he couldn't do anything without his friends. He doesn't know how to. He doesn't know how to go on a vacation, go to a beach, go outside without a vlog camera. He doesn't know how to do those things. He doesn't know how to function with just enjoying life and knowing you do not need to capture every single moment. So he needs to focus on the main character of his life, which is himself. So that's the number one thing. The second thing is that, yes, he loved his friends. He always loved his friends, but he did them dirty too. Like he did not take into consideration their feelings on many occasions, always pressuring them to do things that they did not want to do. I think he does need to talk to someone and to really get to the bottom of why he would rather create a vlog at any cost at his friend's expense. I also think when he does come back on this platform, and of course he said this in his apology videos because, David came out with like 2 apology videos, but he said that when he did come back, that he was going to have things in line, have human resources. And I think he really needs to stick to that because the way how they have inappropriate behavior with kids and just the whole thing, safety issues, like what happened to Jeff should have clearly, obviously never should have happened. So I think all of that needs to be in place. I think once he can kind of make himself the main character in his life, get his shit together with figuring out why is it that your vlog is more of a priority than your friends, and then get to like the technical things about like human resources and having security, safety, all that stuff. Then at the end of the day, once we can figure all that out, yes, I think he can come back on. I think he needs to realize the severity of his actions of what he caused. I think he needs to, you know, call that victim, you know, and I think Dom needs to go to jail. I think, you know, David was also complicit in that as well. But, you know, it is what it is at this point. And, you know, I feel bad for the victims that were just involved with anything horrible with the Vlog Squad. And I hope at the end of the day that this squad as a whole realize that their actions, next time it's not just going to be a broken skull. It's not just going to be, you know, I don't know, an injury in the pool. It could be so much worse.